Just when you thought the Defender couldn't get any more capable off-roady, Land Rover's gone and done this, the Defender Octa. It's wider, it's higher, it's even more capable and full of technology, and this can handle anything you throw at it. This is the cheat code of off-roading. Let's talk about it. Let's start with the front. You can notice subtle differences here, but before we get into it, this is the Edition 1 version here. This is the 160 grand version, which offers some subtle little design hints here and there, which we'll talk about. But first thing first, look at the front grille. It's different to allow more air into that engine there, that 4.4 V8 turbo liter engine in there, which is honestly powerful. It sounds amazing as well, depending on which mode you have it in. If we look closer at this Defender right in here, you got this chopped carbon sort of finishing on it, which looks really good. I love this faro green color as well. I think it matches the vibe of what this car's all about, that off-roady, rugged sort of look as well. Let's talk about the tires, because that's also pretty interesting, because it's chunkier. We've got a bigger disc brake on this. So you can spec this up with 20-inch alloys that we've got here, and we've got this light alloy design, which means it's a little bit more capable than normal. You're not going to worry about curbing this alloys on this. We've got big disc brakes in there, and already you can see how high off the ground this is on this side. Look how chunky the tires are. This is all-terrain tires, and this will offer different speed limits depending on which sort of compound that you go for. So if you go for this tire compound, it would determine how far in terms of the top speed. You can go up to 150 miles per hour, again, depending on the tire that you go for, the compound. And this is so high off the ground, you got nice ground clearance on this. They've raised this up higher compared to the standard one, and it's wider as well. You also get this wheel arch that sort of extend a bit further as well, so wider tracks, and it just looks so good, honestly. Just when you think that Defender could not look any better, it just gets better and better, like this car here. Talking about the name Octa, is actually taken from a diamond, so that 8-face diamond, which talks about how luxurious it is, as well as how strong that diamond is, which is what this car is all about. It's a strong vehicle, very powerful, and you notice the new Octa logo just dotted around the car here and there, which I think is cool. It differentiates it from what you'd normally get on the normal Defender. So when you see this on the road, you know you're in an Octa. Something else that you spot at the back is a quad exhaust system that we have here, and it sounds absolutely bonkers. Speaking of ground clearance, this is obviously high off the ground. This is not what you'd normally have, but in this kind of scenario, it'd be nice to have a side step that pops out, so it just makes it easier to get in and out of the car. Perhaps the not so practical thing about this car is this back door here, because one, it's heavy, depending on how you sloped as well. And then you have to worry about space behind you, because that could hit something very easy. Obviously, it's heavy because you get this big tire attached on the back as well. But when you open it, another thing is this doesn't lock in place. So easily that would just flow back and close on you. But just be careful when you do that. But in terms of the space though, we still get plenty of space as normal. You still get your buttons there to raise the height of the car as well. And yeah, I think it's still pretty much practical. You can also fold the seats down as well to put a bit more in there if you need to. But generally, really good. Whilst it looks fantastic outside in the way that it looks rugged, it looks stylish, the list goes on. It's still pretty much practical. So everything that we loved about the Defender 110, we still have that pretty much in here. So plenty of space for the feet, plenty of space for the knees, plenty of space for the head as well. We've got panoramic sunroof that adds extra sense of space in the car as well. Some of the changes that you will spot in here with the Edition 1 and this Octa is this chopped carbon is still here as well. So we get this nice design all around it. We also get the body and soul seats as well, which I'll talk more about when I get in the front, because I can show the settings and whatnot. But basically just means you get speakers pumping bass through your backside whilst you're driving, which it feels nice. I'm not gonna knock that. I think it feels nice. And then we get climate control down here, 2 USB-C ports as well, but generally plenty of space here. We've got the armrest still pretty much here as well, cup holders there if you need it. The story here is it's practical, plenty of space. Over in the front, again, the premium level continues in terms of the material that's used here. We still get those chopped carbon all around the car as well. So, for example, this frame here is covered in now. We've got wireless charging here. There's plenty of space to store things, USB-C ports over there, and other USB-C ports over there to charge your devices. You notice that faro green color continues in here as well in terms of the steering. So you get this nice two-tone color going on here. We have the digital head mirror over there, head-up display is there as well with nice graphics on that screen as well. So when you go into, for example, off-roading mode, you get some graphic on your head-up display so you can still keep your eyes, focused as to where you're going. On the seats, like I was saying, we get this body and soul seats as standard on the Octa series, which means you get bass pumped into the seats, so you feel nice and comfortable with it. It adds to the extra sense of being immersed in the sound system, so when you're listening to music, it syncs with that as well, so which is really nice. We've got the big wing mirrors as well, which weirdly doesn't affect much of the drag coefficient, which I think is pretty interesting the way they've done that. It's very genius. One thing you will notice though is, because this is Octa as well, there's a button that's placed on the steering, which is the Octa button. You press that once for the dynamic mode, which means things get a bit sportier. Long press it, goes into Octa mode, which I really like because you don't have to dig into the menu here to get into those settings. But long press that, goes into Octa mode, and you won't need that all the time. You only need that when you get in the right terrain where you got sand, you know, gravel, so that way you get better grip, better pitch as well as you move off the line, which I think is fascinating. This is honestly a genius piece of engineering all around in terms of the thought that's gone into this. Makes you think, why didn't the original Defender be what this is now? Why does it have to be Octa? But I'll leave that to Land Rover to tell us what that is. I also love the transparent plus and minus signs on the paddle shift. I think that's pretty cool. Adds to the fun element of what this car should be all about. Something I wanted to show though is on the infotainment system, which is pretty much the same as well, but you got some options on here to show you. So you got the body and soul seats. So if I tap that, for example, you get to see what this is all about. So you got sensory audio, which syncs with the sound system in the car. And then you got wellness as well, which gives you different mode that you can go into. I don't know, the wellness, it works. It's cool, but I think I'd rather seat massage system in the car if you ask me. But I think it's cool with the sensory audio anyway. Adds to that immersive feel of what the sound system's all about with the Meridian audio. I think it's like 28 speaker system or something like that, and more than 1400 watts in terms of sound system. So it sounds really good. So they haven't taken that away at all. Android Auto is there, Apple CarPlay is there as well. And then there's a button here or icon or menu option for dynamic eye. So when you press that, you can change things like all the dynamic system in the car. So your suspension, your gear shift, so for the paddle shift, your steering, how dynamic that's going to be, and also your engine as well. So you get better sound quality in terms of, I say sound quality, but the way that it sounds, the growl that you get from the engine and the exhaust notes as well. So honestly, this looks really good, and you get things like stopwatch and lap time. So if you happen to take this on road, on track, for example, you can time yourself as well. It's got some really good spec. You're talking 0 to 62 in just under or around 4 seconds flat. You're talking around 750 Newton meters of torque. And like I said, depends on the tire compound. That will affect the top speed limit that you can get with the Defender Octa. But overall, though, I think it's fantastic. You get that new 6D interlink hydraulic system as well. They've strengthened the wishbone. They've lengthened it as well. So it's just built to handle a bit more. They've done away with the usual anti-roll bar to give you that dynamism. So this is basically a chameleon. It can be on the road and drive really nicely in terms of handling, and then you get it on terrains like we have here in terms of off-roading. Then this just transforms into its natural habitat, and those chunky tires can handle better puncture and stuff like that. So when you see rocks that your brain is telling you don't do that, you don't have to worry about it. The car just handles it. It does everything that it needs to do like it's nothing. It just, honestly, it's incredible. You'd have to gain one of these and book yourself like a drive experience or something and just experience it yourself, because there's so much words you can use to describe how bonkers but incredible this car is. So like we were saying, this is a very capable car in terms of what it can do. And the reason why that is because it has this new 6D interlinked damping system, which basically means this can control pitch and roll very well. When it comes to this area where we are right now, you're able to drive without worrying about where you put it in the car. The steering rack has been improved as well. So, you know, you don't have to do too much of turning when it comes to your normal roads as well. So this is a bit of a chameleon in terms of when you get off-road, you can do some incredible things. It's comfortable, it's in its natural habitat. And then when you get on the main roads, on the normal roads, you know, day-to-day driving, then this is fully capable as well with no issues at all, which is, again, incredible, thanks to that 6D dynamic system. So all the things we love about the Defender is still there in terms of the controls. So you can press the little icon here on the buttons, and you can go between different terrains. So you can do like mud, sand, you know, all kind of different terrains that you want to go. You can do wading, which in fact, this is also improved. You're talking 1 meter now, and I think you can stay in it for like 30 minutes or so, for example. And wading, it just does it with no effort at all. It's just seamless, it just goes. And normally when you drive on roads like this, you look at, you know, this off-roading track here, you got rocks everywhere, you got different heights and adjustment, and the car is capable of adjusting each wheel to make sure that the car is nice and comfortable. And one thing I've noticed driving is it's just effortless. So whilst I'm sat like this, and to you, you're thinking, I'm just nice and steady. There's nothing going on. But when you look at it from the outside, there's a lot going on in terms of making sure that the car remains nice and stable, the height remains, maintained and whatnot, depending on which mode that you selected here. Select that Octa mode when you're on gravel or whatever it is, and things change a little bit. So you're talking about that RCS, so that stability control is then adjusted. It gets reprogrammed so that the car can adjust accordingly as you're driving almost in real time, which is, again, incredible. So you got a combination of computers doing all sorts of different things, and then the hardware as well. So the hacksaw being beefed up as well in terms of how long they are, how big they are, how strong they are. So they've changed that as well to make sure that this is just, honestly, like I said, again, we're going to keep using this word, just fully capable. And I'm happy they brought me out here to test it out properly, because usually you get, loaned this car to review, you take it around London or just to main roads and stuff, and it does well there in those areas, and then coming here in its natural habitat is where it becomes serious, where you actually can put it to the test and see how well it handles. So for example, now ahead of me, I'm looking at this rocks, and I think we're gonna go above this just to see how this handles this as well. So that should be interesting, which I'm excited to try out next. And then there's some wading to try again and show this in action, so you guys can fully get an idea of what this can do. In Octa mode, it sends a lot of the traction, I think up to 80% to the rear to maintain that grip and the pitch and roll when you start to drive in that mode. And honestly, even the brakes as well, the interlocked brake, everything just gets adjusted. So that way you have a lot of fun. And honestly, it's like having a 4x4 in a rally car mode or form. And to be able to achieve that has involved a lot of research, a lot of testing. So before we get on this bit, first thing first, we have to change the terrain mode. So like I said, there's a car button here, you press that, and then you can go across and select different ones. So we have comfort program, we got Octa mode on here, we got grass, gravel, snow, we got mud ruts, we have sand, we have rock crawl, wade, and so on. So ideally for this one, we want to use the rock crawl mode, which will allow things to change accordingly. So for example, the brakes are active, they're different in the way that they work, so you don't end up pumping it too hard and stuff like that. Setting it correctly also means that the car will do majority of the work. And what's also great about this is there's a camera here which allows you to go into off-roading mode, so you can see exactly what each wheel is doing, the articulation, and you can see the cameras as well to see how far you are from each sides and stuff like that. So in situations where the roads might be tight, having this camera is also very, very useful. And because you have a really good ground clearance as well, the car doesn't struggle and you don't have to worry about the rocks or anything like that, which is amazing. Honestly, to the naked eyes, it looks scary, but for the car and the engineering, this is absolutely nothing for the Defender. It just eats it up for breakfast. Wow. It's almost like driving on a normal road, but when you see it physically and you see the rocks and the setup, honestly, it looks scary, but for the car, it's nothing. All right, wading time. So we've selected wade mode on here, which is good. Like I said, this can handle up to 1 meter. And I think this one we've got in front of us right now is around 850, 900 or so. So you should be able to do this with no issues at all. So one of the things you gotta bear in mind is this is wider compared to the standard 110, but it's no issue. We just have to mind where I point the nose of the car going into this bit here. But this is just like nothing. It's 1 minute a road car, next minute it's a amphibian. Handling this kind of terrain, incredible. This is so clever as well, because what it does is, as we wade in here, even with like soft areas in the water, it basically knows how to extend the suspensions so that it's just maintaining the correct ride height. Honestly, it's so clever, really, really clever. What it also does is, as you're doing it, the infotainment system information here will give you data or visualization as to what you're doing and numbers. So that way, if you're worried, you'll be able to know that the car is still within the limits of what it can and can't do. So it's good that that's there, because otherwise, there's so much you can do with your actual visual peripheral and you know what I mean, like looking around. So it's good to have that there. Okay, so how does this feel on the normal roads for day-to-day use? I think just as well as it does off-road, it does perfectly fine as well when you take it on the normal roads for day-to-day use. I mean, you got the same way you have the Octa button here to activate that off-road mode that gives it extra oomph if you need to, and that 6D dynamism that helps with the car. Same way you have your dynamic mode, which I really love, because once you activate that dynamic mode by pressing the Octa button once, what you get is the suspension is lowered, it's firmer, it's sportier, the steering feels nicer as well, a bit stiffer, adds a bit of weight to it. And one thing I love about this is this steering rack is excellent, because when it comes to road handling, it's really good at handling the corners, whether it's a tight corner, whether it's a tight bend, whatever it is, it just does it so comfortably well. Especially with a car that weighs, what, around 2.5 tons or so? It's a heavy car, yet it handles the corners very well. And obviously you still get some body roll here and there, but this sporty seats does well at keeping you in place and in position. But the body roll is understandable. It's not one of those where it's overly done. I think it's minimal. To be able to do that in a big car like this, I think that's really, really good. But otherwise, I think it's an excellent car to drive on the road. You know, in that dynamic mode, the exhaust noise sounds really good as well. You can really put your foot down and just, oof, sounds good. And with that 6D dynamic system, the pitch is actually, honestly, is kept under wraps a little bit. It's just tamed a little bit, because when I say that, you press down, the front of the car doesn't lift up the way I've experienced it lift up in other cars, or even the normal Defender. When I say normal, the 110. So they've done a really good job at the engineering and just making sure that this feels just a tad bit different from the normal Defender. If you ask me though, this will cost you, well, the edition one will cost you £160,000 thereabout. And if you go for the standard one, which you can get as well, that one will cost you £140,000. It's expensive, but I think you get what you pay for, in terms of this is a car that offers so much. It can do it all when it comes to wading, when it comes to off-roading, when it comes to rocky patches, whatever it is, you can chuck it on sand and put in different modes and it will handle just that. And then when you come off those terrains and you're like on the road like this, just to do a school run or whatever it is, it's also practical to do those things. And then you can stick in dynamic mode if you want to have some fun, and it's just agile for such a heavy vehicle like this. I'm doing all this countryside road, and it's really good. Those big brakes are handling very well as well in terms of the stopping power. When it comes to these fast corners though, you do have to be careful with your speed and where you throw the car, but it still does really well at just making you feel comfortable, and the handling is great. I think all round it puts a smile on my face, because it sounds great, it's comfortable to drive, you sit in higher up as well, so visibility is no issue at all. Honestly, it's really good. And in terms of tech, it's fully kitted out. So this is comfortable. You got that body and soul seats for longer journeys. If you want that for sound or for wellness, you can do that. In terms of all-rounder, this is great. It's comfortable to drive. It feels safe as well. And you see an oncoming vehicle out of nowhere, you tap the brake does really well. So honestly, and the steering rack, the steering ratio is so good. So you don't have to be doing crazy amount of, you know, twisting and turning your arms to get to where you need to get to. And the turning circle is actually brilliant in this, even with the chunky tires. And speaking of chunky tires, the only downside to that is obviously it affects the speed that you can do in terms of the maximum speed, but also the road noise is affected as well. So with these chunky tires I've got here, the top of the range Wranglers here, Goodyear Wranglers, you are gonna get more road noise than you would the other ones that you can spec or opt for. So that's something to bear in mind. So when it comes to the pricing and everything that you get, you have to then decide what you're going to be doing more of in terms of the type of tire compound that you go for. Or if you got the money, you can have the two sets, and when you need to go off-roading every now and then, or countryside or whatever, swap them around. And then when you know that you're not going anywhere for a while, it's just normal day-to-day, swap them around again and you're good to go. But yeah, sounds absolutely fantastic. It's an excellent car. That 4.4 litre BMW engine has been tweaked for the Defender, so it's exactly how you want it. So honestly, it's really good. But also, if you stick in comfort mode, does really well as well. So no issues there at all. Let's put it back into dynamic mode. Woo! It just purrs. You can hear the difference. I was having so much fun, I've actually missed my turning, so I'm gonna have to turn around and get back to where I was meant to go. But you hear that, oh, it just sounds so good and it's so much fun to drive. But yeah, all in all, excellent vehicle. Honestly, I really love it. I've had a good time with it. But over to you. Let me know what you think. Would you pay 160 grand for the edition 1? Or would you pay 140 grand for the standard version of the Octa? Because one of the things are the fact that between this and the normal Defender, I think, yes, it offers a massive difference, but is it enough difference for you to pay that extra? Because would you actually do the things that this does that really differentiates it? So the Octa mode, for example, it's useful on gravel, for example, where I live, or the kind of journeys that I do, even the kind of off-roading that I might do, does not involve sand or gravel or anything like that. So that immediately scratches that off the line for me. But if you have the money though, go for the top of the range, go all out, go hard or go home, you know? But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you have any questions, drop them there as well. I'll do my best to answer those. And I hope I've touched on everything that this car is all about. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.